This is Gael Konek from the Brasiliance Heritage Project. Today is Friday, 13th of December 2013. I am in Finsbury Park in London with Silvia Regina Menezes Bazzarelli, born on the 23rd of the 9th, 1964 in Guaratinguetá, São Paulo, Brazil. Silvia, can I ask you to please spell your name?
Spell my name. There's a challenge. S-I-L-V-I-A, Silvia. And then R-E-G-I-N-A, Regina. Menezes is M-E-N-E-Z-E-S, Menezes. And B for Bertie. A-Z-Z-A-R-E-L-L-I, Bazzarelli.
Thank you. Silvia, how it is for you to live in London today?
To live in London today, I don't think I question myself anymore because I've lived here for quite a long time and I have my work here, my family here, my life here. So it's what I do. So I miss my family in Brazil. I miss my friends and my contacts through the art form. So I miss my friends in Capoeira as well. But otherwise, I like it. I like London very much. It's a place that has given me opportunity to, learn about myself, to create the work that I have today. I don't think it would have been possible in Brazil, still today, and it wasn't possible then. That's probably why I left. It's a place of a lot of, I don't know how many languages are spoken here. It's a place for people to try out things that were not available in their own country, to get to know people, to experience the arts, or a new challenge in life, or a new way of living. So I like London very much. It's my second home. Any more? More about London. So what I do in London? I run together with my partner and husband, Marcos dos Santos, the London School of Capoeira. And the school celebrated 25 years this year, in 2013. The school was the first one established in UK, not just in London. Other people have come to Britain to perform, to run a workshop, but no one actually stayed and went through the work and established the school. So it was very challenging in the beginning. I remember taking the number 8 bus to one of my first places that I taught at the drill hall in central London and carrying a drum, things that I don't think people would do today. I wouldn't do myself today, but it was just they're wanting to do something, so that was the first, one of the very first places. When I first came to England, I met, because I did dance as well, so I met a friend called Marcia Magliari, who introduced me to the Brazilian Contemporary Arts, an organization that actually they ran until last year, I think, but they had a quite long track record of really good work, interacting with Brazilian performers, artists, musicians, and so they invited me to run my first capoeira workshop, and was in West London. So I did that, and I did 2 courses of 8-10 weeks, and the person that was running the Brazilian Contemporary Arts at the time was Edna Cripaldi. So that was my first push to get a class started, to take capoeira to other people in this country. And then through work, not capoeira, but through working in a health food shop in Covent Garden, I met one of my best friends, a woman called Cláudia da Silva. A very interesting woman as well that created a project for self-defense project for women, and Cláudia was heavily involved in the project, and I met her through my boss at this health food shop that was called a person called Richard Chippin, And Claudia helped me to find other venues. So I taught in Holborn, and I taught at a place that was mainly for women called the Drill Hall in central London. And it's when the lessons really begin to take shape and become established, with the students coming regularly once or twice a week, and then 3 times. And when it got to 4 times, I think we became slightly annoying to the centre with our music, with our influx of students. So we thought, well, we might as well start looking for another place. And when we went to the first school for capoeira that was in Highbury Grove in 90, we began to look at the place in 1990, and then in 1991 I think we eventually got the contract and started running lessons from Highbury. And then is when my partner, husband, came to England in 91. He was refused entry, and so then he was waiting for us to organize work permits and make sure that he was able to stay in the country. So he went to visit other capoeira friends in Europe while we're getting the papers together to bring him over. So then he came in 92, and since 92 we have been working together. In 1993, we sort of always thought that maybe we can work with the traditional capoeira, but also create something that was slightly more, I wouldn't like to say artistic, because capoeira is incredibly artistic and gives people the opportunity to express themselves within the traditional capoeira. I think it's one of the most purest forms of expression, the roda de capoeira. But that was because I came from this dance background. I was feeling that I wanted to choreograph something with my experience and use talented people that had something to bring into the show. So we created Passo, this dance company that would use the quality of capoeiristas into the show. So it's very different to the traditional form, because he had a theme and he had to follow the theme. So it wasn't improvised like the roda de capoeira, where you bring yourself. So it was something that you had to enter into, something that was planned, discussed and performed. So it was a bit more, I would say, planned, whereas the roda de capoeira is improvised, is organic, is spontaneous, is yourself, whereas the choreographed piece, you need to plan for it and present a piece of work, not necessarily with the capoeira music, with other, we might work together with other musicians, composers, to do something for the piece and for the story of the piece. So Passo Co we have been working on it for quite a long time, and it's really interesting work, I think, and we have been since 1992, 93, been developing choreographed pieces. We have taken the show to Edinburgh and to Royal Festival Hall and the Barbican and Leicester, Birmingham. I don't know, so many theatres we've been to, and it was, and then we left the venue in Highbury because the Passo Co was taking over, and we were touring, we were performing. So we thought maybe that was a bit too much to maintain premises and artistic work. So we went to, there's a theatre called The Place Theatre. They do dance for, it's like a degree course. So we were there from 94 until 99, and the lessons were very busy. We were there nearly 5 nights a week. Again, we were beginning to think, well, maybe we need our own premises again, because we were growing, and I think we just needed a place where we can hang our photos up, more that character of the capoeira school, have our instruments, the birimbaus, the atabaque, the pandeiro, the rec-rec, agogô, and just give that space to students to, a little bit before the class, a little bit after, for some either talking or training. There's sort of more the community aspect that hiring a studio in a, is excellent, but sometimes doesn't allow you to extend that practice into something else. And then we start looking for place, and this is how we eventually came here, and we've been in this space since 2000. And when I have my son as well, my second child. So everything happens at once here with us. We have a baby at the same time, new premises, planning permission, go to the town hall, everything at once, and it makes it all exciting and stressful. And then the space takes quite a lot of us, because it's a lot of things for us to do as masters. Masters, they can't just be masters anymore. Masters, they have to write emails, they have to look after their website, their Facebook, their LinkedIn. It's incredible, and it sort of takes away, because when you're creative and an artist, you can't just do your own thing. You have to work so hard to maintain the financial side of your art. So you're constantly you're not just creative in what you do, you're creative in finding, sourcing the finance to maintain you. So that has, since the improvements in the internet, has really, in a way worked against us, because we're having to do so much more. And so then we felt we need to take a break from Passo Co. So we had a bit of a break, because that was taking so much time that we decided it was a bit too much for us. And with the traveling and with the family, having to do all that, and you're away from Brazil, you don't have a cousin, you don't have a little auntie, you don't have your mum or dad. So it's very difficult to maintain all that going really well while you don't have the support when you have your family. So it's complicated. And never mind when the kid one of your children, have to take them to hospital, or so. Combining, I think, is the most challenging thing, is combining family and work away from home. I'm sure there's people that are from this country that don't see their family very much, because they live somewhere, I don't know, they live in London and the families are in Manchester. But still, the thought that if something happens, you are 12 hours away flying, it makes a bit, it's a challenge, I think, for Brazilians in living abroad. It's very, very difficult. But having said that, we sort of returning with Passo Co, and we have new ideas, and we're just bringing it back again, and just having a thought how we can use this technology to help us to take our work further and influence people like we have always done. And I think most Brazilians can be proud of the work that we do, that we sort of, considering all the ups and downs and the problems in this country as well, and the economic crisis, the economic turndown since 2008. We are open and running, and I think that's down to sort of that determination. And I think I need to go back to my family now, that giving me that sort of, continue, be determined, be honest to what you do. And I think that is the core. Without that sort of observing my dad going to work every day, my mum have that sort of morals, I think that would have been difficult to continue. So
you mentioned that capoeira is the purest form of expression.
Yeah.
Could you tell me more about that?
I think I began dance at the ages, I think 7 or 8, when we moved, because we were born in the interior of São Paulo, and then my father was transferred to a not very nice town called Cubatão. It was the most polluted town in Brazil. Has improved, so no offenses to whoever lives in Cubatão now, it's much better now. But we thought, well, we can't live in Cubatão, so my dad took us to Santos. It's like a neighbor town to Cubatão. And Santos is a very interesting place. When we moved there, it was national security, because it's got the biggest port in South America. So therefore, capoeira with its origins, African, Brazilian origins, very strong for a sort of relatively small town. Places like Rio, São Paulo, Rio, Santos, and Salvador. So Santos became really, really strong in capoeira. So I was doing dance, and at the age of 15, 16, I was doing my equivalent to A-levels. I came across a friend of mine, a dancer, said, I'm doing capoeira. At that time, capoeira was so unusual, and especially for my background, sort of middle-class family, and I thought, my God, capoeira. So when my parents probably thought, wow, she's been doing dance, she's going to have to give up and go to university. Not only I didn't give up dance, but I took on something so unusual to my parents. They had no background in arts or anything. They just thought, my God, my daughter, what is she doing? So that sort of stirred the whole thing, you know, but I was so committed to what I was doing. I was so committed to my art. When I came across capoeira, I was like, my God, this is wonderful. I just could be myself. Whereas dance, you have to, you know, dance is wonderful as well, but you have to fit into a certain shape, size, you know. I don't know, I just felt capoeira really allowed me to be myself. That's number one, being able to express yourself. And then it doesn't really mold you into anything, but it improves you. So you sort of, if you're too aggressive, you know, it helps you to, you know, control it. If you're too easy, you need to sort of get up and go a little bit more. So it sort of improves the person to be a better person and deal with situations inside the harder. So this is the most, you know, you have to express yourself and deal with the other player because you're doing twos. So you train, you do whatever movement you do. Say you go to a yoga class, you go to your Pilates class. All that training is to take you to the harder, where everything takes place. So you have an audience. In a way you have to perform, but not really. They're sort of observing you, and then you have the music that they're giving you, feeding you with information, and the beat, and the heartbeat, and the tempo. And then you went to the harder, and then you have to apply your words, apply your way, you know, with someone else that you might, maybe you met, or maybe someone you haven't met before. And you have to say something, to be able to say something, express yourself. And in a way, bring that person into your game, or maybe share the game together, or maybe push the person away. So you need to sort of work your, you know, bring the best of you into the game so you can have a good time. So I think because it's there and then, there's no planning. The planning has been done physically and emotionally through the training, through the music, through the movement. But when you actually enter the harder, there's nothing else that your master could tell you anymore. So if you haven't really focused on your training before, you're there by yourself. So you have to sort of go out there in the harder, where the capoeira takes place, a very limited space, and then use your tools there and then. And then just experience that moment and use the best you can. So I think it's really difficult to find in other activities that have taken place. Maybe there's something else that I haven't done. So, but I think it is amazing when you really focus on the game of capoeira and having a conversation with the other person. I think is sublime, really. I think it's wonderful.
You mentioned about all the instruments that are used in capoeira.
Yeah.
Do you play, which one do you prefer? Do you play any of them? Play all of them?
Yeah. In the past, the masters were called master of an instrument, or master of the singing, master of the game. Today, it is expected of the master to play, sing, and play the instruments, play the game, and play the instruments and play the game as well. So I love the berimbau because the berimbau, it sets the tempo for the players. You ask them to enter the circle, to exit the circle. You change the tempo. You tell stories. So the person that is holding the berimbau will be guiding the player. And I just like the sound of it. It's an instrument that you can really enter yourself into it, improve. So I love the berimbau, but I like playing the other instruments. I feel they more like they complement the berimbau. But the berimbau is the leader in the harder. Is the instrument that leads that takes the players into the game. So.
Tell me about the process of becoming a master and what did it mean for you?
Well, I think as opposed to acquiring a qualification, an academic qualification, sometimes the things that you do, you're never going to please your master. So there's things that your master expects of you that you need to sort of, there's some things that are standard, but some things that are the things that is still quite not reached. And when I got my master in 1994 at Jackson's Lane, I thought I was quite young to become a master, but part of our system, the system had changed. So we had all the students graduation, and then you have your teacher graduation, and then you become Master 1, Level 1, Master Level 2. So I thought, well, that's fine, I'll get my first level, and then I build myself up and improve myself to the Level 2. When I was just about to get my first level master, the system of the Confederation of Brazil of Capoeira changed. So they became you, and then you contramestre, and then you master. So I got my belt, and I thought, wow, what a wait to receive something like that now. And I felt like I would have been quite happy with just my Level 1 master, and then build up into my masterhood. But it was rewarding to think that my master thought I was qualified to receive it. I thought I was a bit young, but I thought, yes, I better work towards, improving myself. So yeah, it was really, really nice to have received that from my master, Master Sombra, also from Santos, originally from Sergipe, but like many black people in Brazil, they immigrated to the southeast to search for better life. And he was also working at the ports in Santos and had a school called the Associação de Capoeira Senzala. Very generous man with the teaching, and very calm and very giving. A lovely place to learn capoeira, and I was so lucky to have found the school. And the style of capoeira is so exactly how I felt I could express myself, so artistic and building on your own personality. You're never trying to mold us into someone else, so that was really, really nice. So becoming a master is basically when your master decides after a long time, a period of training. So today you need to train regularly for 7 years to become a formed, they call it aluno formado, a formed student. And then officially you can start teaching. You probably have helped your master in your school, and you say, well, we can maybe start one lesson somewhere. So you begin to gather that sort of entrepreneurship, to go somewhere and organize your space and begin with a lesson. It will be observed by a master and feedback. So there's a relationship still exists, and you train with your school. And then you become a monitor. And then in the years, the gap between the belts are longer, and then you become an instructor. And after becoming an instructor, you become a contramestre, and then master. So I don't think they quite can qualify. Even if you start as a kid, a five-year-old child, you can't qualify it until 30 anyway. But I think you probably need a good 18 years, 20 years. It depends on your school and what is there. It's a relationship between your master and you. And obviously you recognize if you're part of an association, we follow the same system as the Confederation of Brazil, Capoeira in Brazil. So there's other systems as well. Other schools, they follow the systems that are in place. So it depends where you come from. But in our schools, this is how it is. So it takes quite a long time. But suppose it's not about the bells. It's about the work, how you take in capoeira. Because once you become a form student, a monitor, an instructor, you've got a good foundation. You've got the movements. You've got you can be ahead of a class and teach people, pass on the art form. You can teach the music. You can talk to them about the history through the songs. So you have to have quite a good knowledge of everything before you can eventually be by yourself teaching. So you need this sort of that exchange between the players and your masters and people at your level, constantly refreshing. It's like the conference of capoeira all the time. Because capoeira is an organic art form that keeps on changing. It's alive, so it can never be just one thing today because tomorrow will be different. It's always because it's based on people, and people always changing. And changing cultures, how many continents are there that today practice capoeira? It's just in South America now, it's all over. In Europe, it's all over. It's in Australia, it's in New Zealand, it's in Japan. I'm sure in Hong Kong, in China. So it's people traveling, and also people that are now African students that have studied Brazilian people are now returning to their country, and in a way capoeira is returning to Africa in this way, and they organize festivals or gatherings, and then they take the master there. So it's this sort of, it's always moving and then returning to where the origins first started. So really interesting. Why did you decide to come to London? I don't know. I think things are more planned. I see some of the younger capoeiristas. They just plan, they train, say, I want to go to Europe. For me, I think it was the problem with my family. You know, if I want to continue this, I don't know why London. I don't know. Maybe it was a calling, because we were. I don't know. No one in my family has have left Brazil. We don't have the history of people moving abroad to study or to. So it was. I don't know why I chose in London. I think mainly because when I did dance, my teacher came to study here, and maybe I heard things over the years that they came to the Royal Ballet to study, and I thought maybe if I do something related to what I do in London, you know. So there wasn't nothing really planned, but I had to say to my parents, you know, the things were getting really difficult because I was doing this thing so alien to my parents, capoeira. I thought maybe I can combine with some artistic studies or something, and so it wasn't like I'm going to go and open the London School of Capoeira. You know, I didn't have a plan like people do now, because other people have done it. So they see there's a possibility. They see that maybe they can find a way of combining their dreams with living somewhere else other than Brazil. Yes, I think the key was the fact that I would have to stop doing what I was doing in Brazil and do something completely different to please my parents and to be able to survive in Brazil, because obviously, in a way, my parents understand their position now. That I still will be able to. I'm sure that there's groups now that work with capoeira in Brazil that is their profession. Things have improved tremendously, but there's still quite. It's quite difficult for people that in the sort of arts, work with arts and cultural dances like capoeira. So I think that was the key. That was in the back of my mind, because I never had anything sort of really planned. So I thought maybe I'll just try. I try, and it was interesting because my parents said, well, provide me with the ticket, please. And they gave me $1,000. They said it will last a week, and I was gonna come back as fast as lightning back to Brazil. Little did they know that I'm still here. It's really sad for them as well, that distance, and I think now I have sort of learned how to live abroad, and it's not easy. And if my daughter said today, I'm going to do something similar, I said, oh my God, it's so hard. It's so hard. I wouldn't mind if you did something else, something really conservative, because it's so difficult. It's what I wanted to do. So I said, if I stay in Brazil, I don't think there's going to be any chance for me to continue. I was already creating small pieces for theatre and for my capoeira school, and I was dying to create something, to choreograph. So when I was a batizado, I said, Massa Sombra, can I do this? And I will use some capoeiristas, some dancers, and present something to illustrate the batizado. So, and I was only 18, 19, but I didn't have the tools to make money out of it. And was there any money to be made anyway in Brazil? So there wasn't that schooling for people to be able to get involved into the arts in Brazil. It's more conservative. There isn't that space for us there. So I think this is what drives people away from Brazil sometimes. It's just to be able to maintain their art, or to improve their art, or to study abroad, to come back with more of a profile. I think most people that want to be in the creative and artistic world will have to leave Brazil at some point, unfortunately.
Do you remember your day of arrival here?
Yes, yeah. Because it was really funny when I was leaving Brazil, the whole family, my aunties, and I'll put another soap into the suitcase, and I was like, it was massive, like, put everything you can, because you don't know, you're going to a jungle out there. What would happen to this girl? And so I just arrived, I don't know, it's interesting because people find it very difficult, and Brazilians are not always welcome at immigration. So I just sort of sailing through the customs, and I have this huge suitcase. I said, where am I going to go? I mean, it's like this, and I just put all the suitcases on a trolley, and I suddenly was going into a ramp. And I said, where will I go? And I just said, I'm going to get a taxi the first day. So this taxi driver said, well, take me to a modest hotel. I'm going to stay there for a couple of days and see what happens. So it's quite interesting. So this taxi driver took me to Paddington, and I ended up working. And after 2 days, and I met some Brazilian people because I sort of trying to the connections. You want to make connections, and you don't speak the word, you don't speak much English. So I ended up doing some waitressing there for, I don't know, I paid for 2 days to stay in a hotel, and then I worked for 2 days in this hotel in Paddington where I met friends. And then it only lasted 2 days because, I think the owners of the hotel were not very nice people, so I don't think, I said I'm not staying here. But I met some Brazilian people, and then I lived on it's called the Brazilian Avenue, Inverness Terrace in Bayswater. And now it's changed, but it was like, I don't know, like Oxford Street for Brazilians, then at that time. So you made friends, and then you begin to go to your lessons, do some movement lessons, and then you meet someone and you talk about capoeira, and this is how it started. So it was really interesting. It was really interesting. I just felt what was really different was the smell of the town. It was different. I wasn't really like, wow, 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 but I was just like, this is different, and
how was it different?
I don't have I sort of plan more things, but I wasn't like, I'm gonna come here and then do this and that. I was like, I don't know, I had I just, maybe very positive, maybe we're not so positive now, that everything will be alright. So, it's funny, I don't know, it certainly wasn't easy, but I suppose your friends and you make friends, and I suppose just faith, friendship, and just an internal belief that things would be fine. And the rest is history.
Everything's always fine again.
Yeah, I think, yeah. I think I was more positive. I think you become cynical and due to difficulties, I think you... but I suppose I had that drive, and this is, I think, it's possibly... I think it's something that you bring with you from your family, even though they don't sit with you talk. But I think that, and also old generations, they don't complain so much about things. They just get on with it. And I've got a bit of that, and I just, I might say to people that I trust and my family, but I think you just get on with it. And I think this is what takes you further. And I think things that have happened, maybe it wasn't sweet to my parents, but they had they were there for us, and they were there, and there was the house, and there was the school, and there was every day was there provided. And I think you just realize when you go out and see that when you have to fend for yourself, and you realize that, wow, you begin to notice that those things are not there provided for you, And I think that sort of first experience of, I didn't have to do my bed at home. and then having to work in a hotel on the third day, waitressing, and there's nothing wrong with it. But it's just like, you begin to think, wow, it's just my kids that were born here, they don't have an idea where we came from, how we arrived, how we got to this place. So, yeah, it's interesting.
You okay to continue?
Yeah.
I would love to know how you met your partner, your life partner.
Yeah. Marcos, we met actually at the school. We both come from the same school in Brazil. And so we met there, and then when my first trip, because I sort of knew him, and Marcos is younger than me, so I met him. So I met him before I left Brazil, and then when my first trip back to Brazil, after being living here, so we met, and there was a situation where I thought maybe it'd be nice for you to join me with the school. So we began to work towards it and invite him on a sort of cultural exchange first, see if things will work out. We didn't have the experience how to bring people into the country, so unfortunately he was refused entry. So we said, well, you're going to have to go. So you have your flight goes via Portugal. So we had connections, because the Brazilian capoeirista, the capoeirista community, they sort of look after one another. So we said, well, I spoke to Bishop Flor, said I have a friend in Portugal called Moy from a different group. I said, well, maybe he could stay there for a while, and then he did. And then he went to Spain, and then he went to France, and then he went to Germany, and eventually we were working with students, and we got people involved and got our MP involved. And said, well, we finally got our work permit, so he came in and was all good, and he came and joined us. And Marcos is different, because my parents, for example, never saw me playing capoeira, where his families, he comes from a different background. But they were crazy. They say, oh, my wonderful son, he's a beautiful player and performer. He looks like a capoeirista, but also like a dancer, because his lines and his movement are so beautiful that he's really visually impressing. So I think the combination between the two of us, I having this sort of input, and him having this sort of very strong perform ability, it gave us a head start, I think. So we were able to do things, commercial work, that helped us as well. We did the Nokia advert. That was the first advert in Europe. So I remember going to the cinema, seeing myself, I said, wow, and people just watching this Nokia advert, and it was being shown everywhere, and it was all over Europe, and it was, I think it was in the Middle East as well, so it was amazing. So it was for capoeiristas as well, it's so much easier to say, there's capoeira. And also, they were not dancers, they were not models, they were capoeiristas. So it was a great inspiration to capoeiristas themselves to see an image of a capoeirista doing it. And so that was really good, that helped us. And then other things filtered through, more commercial work, that helped the work, the traditional work. So I think that some of the sort of lucky, but I'm saying not just luck, but I think working towards the, really quality movement language, I think it really helped us. And so I think some of those things, and also with the work with the Passo Co, and the school was full of students, so it was a high time for us. It was really, really good. So, yeah.
When was this?
That was in 2000. I think also Europe was flourishing with things happening. Everything was happening. It was really interesting. So, and that led us into doing other things for Bloomberg, and then we were in a Kenzo fashion in Paris, and all these things began to come our way, and it was excellent. So we were able to benefit the art form with that income as well, and that recognition and the profile that really helped us. yeah, so, and then things, I think, the incident, the accident in America, and I think all the arts went a bit shaky when it happened in America, and I think it was so difficult, began to get difficult for everyone, and I think culturally people not interested in one another. It went a bit cold, and now it's sort of okay. But I think 2000, I think it was high time for us. Everything was happening in terms of the performance work, in terms of the commercial work, and the traditional work as well. So it was all good. It was all good.
And when did you start having a family? You had your first child?
My first child, Carolina, she was born in 95, so she's 18 tomorrow. So that was in 94. That was 94. No, 95, sorry, 1995, 94 I got married. 95, I'm Catholic. So first I got married, and then had my child when she was in 1995, and my son in 2000. So I have 2 children. Yeah.
And how is it to be the mother of children that are born in London? Do you speak with them in Portuguese or in English? How is the relationship?
Yes, when we get home, I say, Gabriel says, where's my football boots? I said, what did you say? O que você falou? So I constantly have to say, I don't understand what you say. We speak Portuguese at home because obviously there's 2 kids. They live here, they go to school here. It's their language, English. But I just thought it would be such a shame for them to lose their contact. And if they go to Brazil to speak to their cousins, to my mom and dad, and people die to learn another language today, and they have it at home. They one step ahead than other kids. So I just really hammer the Portuguese, please, Portuguese. And my son does capoeira and loves football as well. And my daughter did capoeira for a long time, but she's a teenager now, so as you can imagine, she won't do what the parents do. And I'm happy with that, that's fine. But she's always sort of, she comes sometimes to do a class, but they're very physical, both of them. And I'm grateful, if they don't do capoeira, if they do something else, so it's fine. I think it's very important that you are mind and body, not just mind. It's very important that you physically do something. So that's good. I think the language is not just the language; it's the culture. It's them, knowing about their roots, where they came from, how we got to Brazil. First of all, we were not there. These are Brazilian natives, and everyone else just went to Brazil and made a life out of Brazil. And now we're returning here. Some of us were Africans, Europeans, Japanese, Chinese, Arabic. And then we sort of go and come back. So this sort of movement continues. So it's very important that you know where it came from and how people got here, and was it easy, was it difficult, and how it is now for you. So I think it's excellent for them to have this bridge between Britain and Brazil, and having that tool to understand, to go there and understand. And I think it's really nice as well because there's 2 social classes in our family, and they appreciate both and the difficulties in Brazil, and how it is easy for one family, or not easy, but easier than for the other family. So not to take things for granted, and to appreciate that sometimes it's not easy for some people. Yeah.
So what do you miss the most from Brazil, Silvia?
I don't know. I think I miss a lot now. I'm going to start crying again. I think, I don't know, when you have your kids, you suddenly, it hits home. Because of their support, of just that, when you think, oh my God, if only, maybe, maybe you're not with your family all the time, but I think your family is the... And then just being able to be Brazilian, not being asked all the time, you have lived here since '86, where did you come from? I know it's just starting a point of a conversation, but I don't know. I've lived here longer than I'm 26, 27-year-old now. So they don't appreciate that sometimes a person have lived here longer than they lived in their own country. So I think that really, and do you know what really annoys me as well? These forms they have to fill in. Where did you come from? I refuse now. So if I take my kids to doctors and say, can you fill in this form? I said, I'm sorry, I refuse to. You just can write whatever you want. But I think it's just we're humans. If it's going to be something they're going to do in depth, understanding about my culture, where I came from, fine. But if it's just going to be ticked in the box, and if more of one lives there than the other, I don't know. I feel uncomfortable about filling in those forms and being asked all the time where I come from. And so I think when you go to Brazil, immediately Brazilian, no one's going to ask you that. So that really appeals to me, even though I'm half. My heart is half. I'm a Londoner, and I lived here I lived here longer than I've lived in Brazil. But it's just a feeling, just like you are yourself. I'm home. No one's going to ask me where'd you come from. So I think that's really, really nice. And my family, and also being more in contact with the art form of capoeira. It's nice to be able to visit people and think things like that. Seeing people. I think this sort of, like often people say, how do you know that person is Brazilian? I just remember being in a restaurant and I opened the door and there was someone coming the other way and I said, oi, tudo bem? I said they were. Or someone with a helmet. I know their eyes are Brazilians. How do you know that? It's that thing about knowing where I come from. Just the way we look is different. Not better, not worse, no, but it's just different. Recognize the person. So it's really interesting I think those little things makes a difference. And I wish Brazil was like in Portugal. We can just hop on a plane, 2 hours, visit, have a cup of coffee, come back. But it's not as easy, So yeah, I think what I miss the most is my family, number one, and then obviously capoeira. Being able to go and visit friends and more of a stimulating, artistic, more available. And then just, the language, being able to just be yourself without being asked. Yeah.
Do you have a dream for the future for now that you'd like to share?
National lottery. I dream every day that it could be me. I think I love to maybe have more access to opportunities in terms of our work. I would dream like having a group of people doing things that I don't need to do, where I can focus on the artistic and look after the artistic side, as well as teaching is nice as well, and maybe in a different level, a more mature, giving us the right to be in a position. We're still doing things that maybe a person that is starting now capoeira are doing, and I just felt like, wow, we have this enormous track record of work, community work and professional work. And just sometimes I feel like I should have been in a different level, and sometimes it's disappointed that you're not, due to circumstances and due to the fact that we have to still do things that... So my dream would be to have that opportunity to be doing just the work that we do, not having to organize administration and all the other stuff that most creative people have to do at some point. I just thought maybe after having done Celebration 25 years that we would have been in a different situation today, but such is life, so we continue to move on.
Anything else you'd like to share?
I was reading about this, I was listening to this, it's a writer, an English writer, Daisy, I think, I don't know if this, I forgot her name, she was on BBC, and she says, the more I get older, the more secrets I hold. So like I keep on, you keep secrets to yourself. No, I don't know, I think it's been a journey, and it's been an interesting journey, and I think I recommend that people leave their country at least and leave somewhere else, wherever it is. Just to understand where they come from. I think it's really important. I recommend to everyone. And sometimes I think Brazil, for being so big and so unfair socially, doesn't allow people to travel. And I think maybe with the internet, I think for that reason, I think for Brazil it's very important, so they at least have a glimpse of what it is in other places. I think that's why in the same way, that's why Brazilians sometimes can be so docile and aggressive at the same time, because we've got this naivety for being just there, but at the same time it's bubbling with expectations and frustrations, and I think that's why things are changing at the moment in Brazil, because I think we can be quite naive for not being in contact with other cultures. I know there's lots of cultures in Brazil, but I mean not being able to go to their place and see how they live and compare, because I think sometimes comparing is good, and learning from other people as well, and then let them learn from you as well, because we've got we're very creative, and we just make do with little, Brazilian people, and that's why we become very creative. I think that's why we do things in the way we do, for not having the resources available. And I think it is a quality of the people. Nevertheless, we should have the resources. We should have it. We're entitled to have the resources. But I think we're a very creative nation.
Thank you very much, Silvia.
You're welcome.
Your name, profession, and how do you see yourself?
My name is Silvia Regina Menezes Bazzarelli, known as Silvia Bazzarelli, and I'm a Capoeira Master and an artistic director of the London School of Capoeira. I see myself, I don't see myself very much. I see myself, I think, determined, as a determined person. I think some level of honesty with what I do and with people, and I do like challenges, and I like to sometimes set tasks so I can work towards something, and I don't know, maybe friendly, I think. That's it.
Excellent. Is it good?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. We don't need to do this again. Okay. Cool. The next question is about migration. How long have you been here, and how was it for you to adapt yourself in London within 1 minute? It doesn't matter. Throughout these questions, it doesn't matter if you repeat yourself. If you already say something, you already say.
Okay.
No more. So how long have you been here, and how was it for you to adapt to London?
Okay, I've lived here for over 27 years, and I think initially it was very difficult to adapt, but I think I have overcome most of the problems, apart from being away from the family. So yeah, I think I feel quite comfortable. I feel like a Londoner, and a Brazilian Londoner, I would say.
Okay. Next question is about London. What do you like the most about London?
London. I like London. I like the tolerance of Londoners. I like the opportunities. Sometimes can be quite difficult, but the opportunities are there, and you need to, if you are a determined person, you need to search for the opportunities. But certainly, I think there's opportunities for everyone here. I think Londoners, most of them are open-minded and accepting of other people and other cultures. I think those are three really good qualities of London. And I think easy access. I think, transport as well. People can get about to just about everywhere. So I think it's a good thing to have, so people can move about and get to know other people in places a bit easier.
Okay. Next question is about feelings, love. What is the most important thing for you, and why?
The most important thing for me, I think it's a combination of things, but I think family. I think family is where you set your, the values, friendship, trust, support, and love. And then you can sort of, once you have that, you can pass it on to friends. You extend that to your work, to your friends. So I think for me, it is my priority.
Okay. The next question is about overcoming a difficulty. So the question is, what was the most difficult moment that you've been through in London, and how did you overcome it?
It's the radiator, I think, sort of.
Oh, can you hear it on
No, it's alright. It's not.
Yeah.
because the mic is close to you.
Yeah. Okay. I think the most difficult. Days or situations were when something happened to my children, and I think that's quite, just on my son falling on a brick and cutting his head, things like that, and I think, oh my God, it's when you feel so powerless, when you have to look after other people, that you want to do everything for them. I think other difficulties with work were just overcome by just going through it and learning from experiences. But I think with your children, when something goes wrong, I think it's quite difficult. I suppose you just take a day at a time. You learn, because it won't happen just once. It will happen many times with your children. So you just have to learn and then stay calm and take a day at a time. And things will get better. So.
Great. We almost finished, promise. Next one is about an adventure. So I'd like you to think of something unique and different that happened to you in London, and to share it with us, a really positive adventure that would only have happened here.
Wow, there's so many, isn't it? So many things that... I think the main adventure is to have a school in London. I don't know, would it be possible in Brazil? I'm not sure. Maybe it is now. I think it's that opportunity that I have created, together with my husband. We have created this opportunity, but I think it's because London, it is what it is, that we were able to include so many adventures into this project. That was our work. I think that was the most challenging, but again, most interesting is where we met really interesting people that pushed us in different directions, friends, work-wise. So I think we created a sort of a hub for many other opportunities. And I'm not sure if it would have happened in any other place in Europe or in Brazil. I'm not sure, but certainly I think this was the most challenging and exciting experience in our lives.
Last question. What is life?
Life, I suppose, waking up every morning, you know you're alive, and then, you know, I sometimes talk to my husband about it, you know, your ambitions was, I said, I just want to continue living, you know, and being able to do what we do and pushing as far into old age as we can, you know, we're still healthy and we feel young, and able to continue doing what we do, you know, but obviously we change into something else, exactly the same what we do, but we change into different phases. But I think a creative person wants to be creative till the day that you die, and then it's, you know, being able to be creative. When you're not creative and you are a creative person, I think it's when you begin to die out inside you. So I think it's letting your creativity flourish until the day you die, in different stages, really, young and old. So this is a book, a lovely book that we've been putting together to celebrate our 25 years of the London School of Capoeira. And as we have a lot of stuff lying around, some notes from students, some flyers, newspaper articles, just begin to just chop and apply, put them, so then people can have a look and give them a sense of history to go through the pages. So it's really nice. So Master Marcus and I have been collecting things. We've got, I think it's really nice. This is quite nice because we had a Japanese student that spent some time with us training, and it was really sweet that she went back to Japan and sent us a card. I thought it was so sweet and nice for us to have it, that we just applied the card. So she says, "Dear Silvia, Master Marcus, thank you very much for everything, and sincerely yours, Yoko." So she's got a sort of out of focus photograph of Gabriel, my son. Really cute. She must have taken a photograph. So this is and the school as well, before the changes that we have made to the floor. So it's quite nice. We've got some magazine articles. Let's have a look. I think this is really nice because it shows the sense of community. We've got two students that met at Capoeira. We've got Leila and Richard and a kid, and they met at Capoeira and they invited us to go to their wedding, and we did a demonstration. And I thought it was really nice because it's not just about the training, but it extends to friendship and continuity, and it's really nice they met here. So they sent us a card saying how much the school is important to them, especially they found each other. So it was very, very handy as well. Some of our newspaper articles, a thank you letter. I think it's really nice of some people that I just mentioned before, some people that sometimes they don't say anything about how much they value being here, and then suddenly something changes in their lives, their circumstances, and then they move to a different place, and they just acknowledge their time here, how we help them through crisis, or just becoming a better person, or even just being fitter, you know, if nothing else. So I thought this was really nice from John. I was quite surprised, a really lovely student. He couldn't really realize his business here, so he moved to his hometown to start up a business. And so here's his letter. And he says that we help him to achieve things. He said, I never thought possible, and have also given him the courage to find within himself the strength to believe like I can achieve more with my life. And so I thought it was really nice for him to sort of acknowledge and also, you know, to leave the London School of Capoeira a happier person, perhaps. And so other letters from other students. We've got some, I think it's really nice that we did something for the Brazilian embassy as well. So there's some photographs of us at the ambassador's house, something a bit more articles, magazines. What else? It's quite a lot. It was really nice. This was when we did. We actually performed for Prince Charles, the WWF. So we organized a performance, and it was really. The saddest thing is that he had this person looking after him that prohibited us to take photographs. So we were really upset. We couldn't get a snapshot of him shaking our hands. So it's a really sweet man that came and acknowledged after the performance that we did for them through the charity WWF. So it was very, very nice. So there was a highlight to our careers as well. This is really nice. Master Marcos, again, another commercial work for Philippe Patek. It's a beautiful shot. So we use a lot in our publicity. Our company performing in theaters. What else is there? Some of the very old from Brazil as well. Our school in Brazil. One of the gradients, the posters. It's just a range of things, so many different things. Some flyers that we put together, old times. Yeah, I think sort of a little bit of what the 25 years was about between, the work and students, and so it's really nice. We're really pleased with our object. Well, so this is we call the berimbau. It's an African instrument that was taken to Brazil, and it became the center of capoeira, I would say, over the last 100 years. And we have this is the sound box where we get the sound from. It's a gourd, and the top is being chopped and the inside cleaned. We made 2 holes, and the berimbau, the string of the berimbau is really tight, so it keeps the cabaça up. The tension of the string keeps the cabaça up, and I hold the berimbau by using my little finger. The other 2 fingers here to hold the wood. I use the stone, we call it pedra, to sit on my finger. And I use a wooden stick, a vareta, and the shaker that sits on my hand, so it follows the movement of my hands. And I change the sound by moving the pedra. So for example, if I play the main rhythm, Angola, it's a simple rhythm that everyone have to learn before they play others. So I change I use, for example, to get the string vibrating, and then I use just a simple out, and then to make the tone ding. So. So I keep on moving the pedra in and out, and moving the cabaça in and out to get more sounds, and the shaker following the movement of my hands. So I go through a few rhythms, and then you can play that rhythm throughout a session of roda. So this is the main instrument. We have different size gourds. So we have, for example, the biggest one will be called the gunga, the wow wow deep. We have the one that sits in the middle, that is called the médio, and the little one, something similar to this cabaça, that we call viola. And they will play 3 different rhythms, and the little one will do variations, sometimes improvise, and talk to the other berimbaus during a session of capoeira. So that's the berimbau.
Can you tell me what's the importance of the berimbau for the capoeira?
Okay, the berimbau is the soul of capoeira. So it's the symbol of capoeira.
I'm gonna stop you just 1 second. When we see the berimbau, could you hold it on your knee when you speak? That would be
Here?
Yeah, cool. So I'm gonna ask again, because this part we can cut.
Okay.
As well, so. Can you tell me what's the importance of the berimbau for the capoeira, for the roda?
Okay, the berimbau is the soul of the game of capoeira. It's the symbol of capoeira. So you always have to have the berimbau. You may not have the other instruments, but the berimbau has to be present. Normally, the main berimbau is held by the most senior person, so the master will hold the main berimbau, and will tell the players when to enter the roda and when to exit as well. So the players have to acknowledge and know the importance of the berimbau and listen to what the berimbau is saying. So it's a good quality to the player if they know what is being played, listening to the berimbau. And the berimbau will control the other instruments as well. You know, to go faster, slower, to stop and start, and to tell the story with the song. So the berimbau starts the roda with a storytelling. So the main singer, the master, will sing a ladainha. A ladainha is where the storytelling of capoeira is told. So you can tell the group about something that will enrich their game or their lives, a word of wisdom, or just a story about the capoeiristas or the old masters, or the history of Brazil, or modern history, what's happening. You can make your own ladainhas and tell people about your own life. And then the berimbau indicates at the end of the ladainha, and then the saudações starts, and the players can enter the roda. So we need to wait. The players come in front of the berimbau. They'll be here. There'll be one player on each side, listening to the story and listening to the berimbau. At the end of the ladainha, the berimbau will indicate that the players can enter the roda, and the players acknowledge, enter and do their game, and then the berimbau will call them back the same way, and 2 other games will start again. So one game after the other, always following the berimbau.
Are you able to sing as a ladainha?
Yeah, yeah. So, vocês vão tocar pandeiro para mim? Não, tô brincando. Quer tocar? Menino, quem foi seu mestre? Menino, quem foi seu mestre? Quem te ensinou a brincar? Meu mestre foi mestre sombra, na senzala veio ensinar. Oh, meu mestre, lhe agradeço, capoeira me confiar. Ando, não me perco, sua luz vai me iluminar, camarada, e viva meu Deus. And this is it.